Oh, I just styled on that, dude. Oh my god. Oh! Kill them all! Alright, that felt pretty good.
Frag grenade out. Refilling everything.
Ave Dominus Nox. Hail the Lord of Night. The Eternal War has come to Space Marine 2, which means multiplayer is on the agenda, and it's pretty freaking solid. It has a very classic, retro, Xbox 360 type of vibe, just good old-fashioned back-to-basics PvP, and I've been having a lot of fun with it, already level 10. Far from perfect, definitely some balancing and server issues that will need to be addressed soon, and we'll talk about those. But today, the focus is on the Soul Hunters of Primarch Conrad Curze, the Night Lord's traders who take to the skies on jets of flame and bring death from above, and when they get corrupted enough, turn into warp talons and literally move through the immaterium to teleport behind victims and flay them alive. Pretty crazy stuff. This class is all about mobility and initiating on a back line to quickly take out snipers or heavy gunners, while the rest of your team pushes the front onto an objective and hopefully takes the fire off you. Has a ton of opportunities for outplaying an opponent, for striking quickly then melting back into the shadows, and in the gameplay you'll see today, you'll get a good taste of that, but remember, these are highlights, and in reality, I would argue Assault is currently one of the weaker classes currently in both operations and PvP. It is not inherently bad, I do not think it's trash, has some very unique tools and ways to approach combat, especially if you stay patient and flank, but I'd argue it doesn't have the capacity to carry a game easily in the same way that some of the other classes can. It requires good team coordination, communication, and all that stuff can be difficult to find when you're playing with randoms. Because even if you do isolate someone in the back line and they're not all grouped up on top of each other, which is hard enough to find in and of itself, unless your team makes a push simultaneously and takes the focus off you, other teams just going to turn around and melt you the second you land, and frankly, even one person can do that fairly easily if they know what they're doing. You are squishy as balls. I'd like to see him become a little bit tankier anyway, and there is a big delay upon smashing into the ground, so the class is very vulnerable and the payoff isn't always there, even when you feel like you made a really good initiation. A lot of the time, I'd argue you just don't want to initiate a fight with a jump at all. You're better off staying on the ground and popping off with the bolt pistol, just plunking away at enemy shields, which at that point should probably just be playing a different class, right? A ton of the capture points are underground as well on all three maps, so you couldn't initiate a fight with a jump pack even if you wanted to, and that's a problem in and of itself. Bolt pistol is really good at close range. Don't have any issues with that, and I imagine the heavy bolt pistol will also be a good choice. I know it is in operations mode, but in my opinion, while the range is decent on him, when you're fighting at close range anyway, you have DPS there, the melee and parry systems need a bit of work in PvP. Melee attacks do bypass armor, which is a big deal, that's great, but the animations don't carry you very far forward, so people can roll away from you pretty easily, and the attack chains for both the chainsword and the thunderhammer tend to be kind of slow, have lots of gaps, which means you can find yourself flailing at the air while three dudes instantly burst you at point blank range. Timing parries doesn't seem to reward you very much. The enemy just continues their chain without you getting frame advantage or a chance to counter until they've finished, which is weird because the parry system works great in PvE, in operations and campaign, and while that couldn't be carried over one-to-one, and you probably shouldn't get free gun strikes for it, I think frame advantage or being able to start your own chain would make a lot of sense, and you're probably just going to be getting shot while you're meleeing anyway. What I'd like to see is some kind of stun or slow effect when hitting someone with a goddamn thunderhammer, so people can't just turn around and melt you the second you bash in their skull from above. It feels really bad to get the jump on someone, to be in their flank or rear, start meleeing them from behind, and then get them to half HP instantly, only to have them turn around and melt you before you can finish the job. The regular bolt rifle for TAC Marine, the heavy gunner, both those can do that really easily. So can the Vanguard. Just counter initiate with the grapple hook and then burst you with the SMG thing. You're gonna be in a bad way. Even when I outplay them and get a clean jump, it often doesn't necessarily work out. So there are a couple things I'd like to see. Number one, I need lightning claws. I need them in the game. Can't truly play the soul hunters and strike fear into the heart of the enemy without the ability to flay their skin and turn them into blankets. It's too good to pass up. Needs to be a weapon that gets added. And I also want an option to turn off the jump indicator, that little yellow icon on the ground that follows you everywhere. A lot of the time it feels like kinda needless information, and it just looks bad, bumping and clipping into every piece of terrain I approach. So just give me an option to turn that off, at least for operations and campaign, but would like to have it in multiplayer as well. Overall, if you want to do well and feel powerful, I'd probably recommend playing tactical with the standard level 1 bolt rifle, which has absurd DPS, or heavy, at least initially. And then if you're getting bored of those, which frankly I do find them a little bit boring in PvP, then you can get a little bit spicier with assault, but realize you are probably not going to do quite as well, at least for the moment. There is opportunities for amazing plays, but most of my games I go like 10 and 8, 12 and 7, those kinds of things with assault. It's hard to dominate even with my Gears of War background. And meanwhile, literally my first 2 games ever with TAC Marine, which I recorded, I went like 17 and 3 and had a 5 KD. Fun to play those two, but it's not the same as soaring under the bleeding gaze of Papa Conrad Kurz. Big shout out and thank you to Games Workshop for providing me with the controller I'll be using today. It's a custom wrapped Xbox pad with the Space Marine 2 theme. Looks real nice. This is definitely a game where pad feels right to use. If you have muscle memory built in from other third-person shooters that typically don't require the same kinds of precision that FPS does, it feels natural to play. I personally have a Gears of War background, so while mouse and keyboard is probably a better option, and you would usually have better aim, although of course we've seen some debacles with like Apex Legends, where pad has so much aim assist, where it's actually better to play on that, and they absolutely bust all over keyboard and mouse. I don't know if that's the case here or not, but I don't really feel at home using mouse and keyboard on these kinds of games, so if you'd like to take a look at Games Workshop's merch store, go have a gander, links will be below. They have options for PlayStation and Xbox, and both should be plug-and-play compatible on PC. With that said, as just a general rule of thumb from my own personal experience, be cognizant of Microsoft's build quality, particularly recently on their gamepads. As I understand it, wouldn't have anything to do with Games Workshop themselves. They're not building the controllers, they're just getting the wrap put on top of it. The previous 2 Microsoft pads I've owned have both manifested some serious issues way too early in their life. I spent $200 on an Xbox Elite controller last year in September, which I love the feel of. Very robust and weighty. Thought it was going to be a lifetime kind of thing. Treated it very well. Used it for maybe 50 hours, and during early access for Space Marine 2 about a week ago, the A button and the right bumper started failing to register my inputs about 30% of the time. And even though there's no outward thing I can find wrong with it, I do believe it is a hardware issue, not software. And that's insane. 30% of the time I hit right bumper or A button, the 2 buttons I use most in the game, just not going through at all, which means the controller is functionally dead after having barely used it. 50 hours over a year is not a lot of game time. It's not the only controller I've had fail from them. Big time stick drift on another one, so just be wary of that and get insurance coverage so you can easily replace it if you do want to play on pad. Again, that had nothing to do with Games Workshop. Thank you very much to them for sending me the controller, and let's jump into some Night Lords footage. Alright boys, Night Lords time. What I've noticed so far is that when you get into a lobby, if you are on the Chaos side, you are going to stay on the Chaos side. If you join a lobby and you're on Space Marine, you're going to stay as a Space Marine. Which is actually a good thing for content creation, because I want to play Chaos, which means if I find a lobby where I'm playing Chaos, I get to stay on the Chaos side. It also means that if one side is way better than the other, in terms of player skill, then you're going to keep getting pooped on, because why would that team want to leave? That's a downside. They need to probably mix up teams after each match, so it's not just complete brutalization every single time. I'm absolutely in love with the Chaos models. I think the Night Lord looks incredible. Thunderhammer, typically not something the Night Lords run. Got him. Yeah, in lore, they're more Lightning Claws. I'm sure someone runs a Thunderhammer in the 41st millennium, 42nd, with the Night Lords, but they're more about causing fear, and the Thunderhammer doesn't really cause as much fear as being flayed alive. I mean, you get bashed by this thing once, and you're gonna be in pieces across the back room, splatter on the wall. It's a quick death. Meanwhile, Lightning Claws can take their time, and of course, the Thunderhammer, you're not gonna be able to pick up someone's skin. Good start here. I have definitely had more success with the Thunderhammer than I have the Chainsword. I don't know competitively, quote unquote, which ones are going to be considered better. But the good thing about the Thunderhammer is that once you land that charge attack from above, we're gonna do a little jetpack shenanigans here. That's too far. Yeah, if you hold sprint, you can float with the jetpack, which is pretty cool. You can kind of control which way you float to. Oftentimes you just get shot out of there by gunners or attack marines, but it can be useful in certain situations. Can outplay people that way. But yeah, if you land a charge attack from above with the Thunderhammer, all you need is one more light attack, and it will kill anyone, I think, even gunners, as long as you landed close to them with the radius of the slam. I should have killed him there. God damn it! Dude, I 100% should have killed him there. I missed a couple of shots and then just walked straight into a nade. I really like this map. Certain areas of it, not great. For Assault Marine, like down here, you can't really get the jump initiation you typically want to see. But that's okay, I mean, it's good that there are areas of every single map where you're not in your element. That should be true for every class. That's like a core tenet of map design. The famous rolling into the wall. Been there myself many a time. We're getting absolutely pooped on right now. Let's see if we can maybe come back here. It's too many. Yeah. Yeah, so that's a situation where melee shouldn't necessarily win. Like, I went straight into a gunner. Crawling our way back, though. It was like 150-30. We hold another point and we're back in this game.
New objective point found.
Ooh. Ooh, doity. Absolutely doity. Yeah, we'll take that.
Our warband is halfway there. The servants of the corpse god claims the objective.
And honestly, even if this class was complete garbage, which I don't think it is, it has plenty of good things about it, I'd probably still play it just for the jetpack itself. I don't know if you guys knew this, but the Servants of the Corpse Guard claimed the objective. They need to fix that voice line spam. That's super annoying. I don't need to hear the announcer say that every single time someone contests the point, right? And I have no way to turn them off either, so... The audio is good work. It's good voice acting. Just don't spam me with the same line over and over. This isn't Unreal Tournament. And frankly... Yeah, shut up! Unreal Tournament has better voice lines for that anyway. We are back in the lead, man. We were super down. Team locked in. I'm not won yet. It's first to 200. Maybe that's another little critique I have. I think some of the games are a little bit short, but this one... just about the right length. Let's see if we can hold on. That's so fun. going in! That's why I like Thunderhammer. Land that AoE ground pounds. Hit him once, it's over. That was a heavy that we just killed there. That's big. Alright, they're making a push. They captured the point here.
Imperial Nazis assault our territory.
Beautiful. I don't want that fight. Bolt pistol's not gonna out DPS the bolt rifle.
Imperial Nazis assault our territory. Servants of the corpse god claim
That's so
the
cool.
objective.
That is so cool. Thunderhammer to the face.
Dark gods reign here.
Alright, that's a win. That's a big ass comeback. Down like 120, 130 points. Pulled that one out. Let's see. I'm actually glad there aren't any stats in this game. I think I'd get triggered going like, oh, my KD went from 3 to 2.8. I'm glad I don't have to worry about any of that. Just like make it all standalone thing. You go in, you play, you have fun, you forget about it. I have like that mental block. It's like, I must see my KD rise. It's stupid. 21 and 7 though. Damn. That's a solid game. That's probably a YouTube game. Hope y'all enjoyed it.